Well, hey everybody. Welcome back to today's episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Sis. Check the description box if you got any questions about anything. Let's talk. So we've been together on some recent stories about Rosie O'Donnell, and there may be a few more coming. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about on this episode specifically is, as a viewer, I would love to have Rosie back in a guest co-host position. However, I also know that right now, as we've talked about in our community a number of times, this is just really not the best time because there's just too much at stake, right? The View, Walt Disney, ABC, they're in this huge fight with the FCC, and now they are suing the FCC. By the way, many television networks have sued the FCC, and some of them successfully. We hope Walt Disney, ABC will be successful. But we know that all of this even started because Donald Trump hates The View. He hates the way they cover him. He hates that they don't have anyone on there to sing his praises Monday through Friday. And so I said to you all, would this really be the wisest thing to do to bring Rosie back, his numero uno enemy? For those of you who don't know the history of Rosie and Donald, when Donald Trump first announced that he was even thinking of running for president, and when he made that grand come down the golden escalator announcement, it was Rosie O. She was one of the first, not the first, but one of the first celebrities to call him out on who he really was. And the war started from there. And I will say, would it be wise for them to bring someone who he genuinely discussed and who also genuinely discussed him at a time like this? Well, I think I figured out how they can do it, y'all. Do any of you guys watch Kathy Griffin? Kathy is a hoot. A lot of you know that because Kathy is sometimes volatile, The View stopped allowing her to do live shows. Now, anytime Kathy Griffin is a guest on our show, it's pre-recorded. They pre-record it. They pre-tape it so that they can edit out anything that, is said or done that could be problematic. I have now thought they could do the same with Rosie. Now, I don't know how well Rosie would like that. By the way, let me go ahead and play for you guys the audio clip of those of you who may have missed this. Actually, Kathy announced this. Okay, this is 2026. So yeah, this was about 3 months ago on her YouTube channel. I will link the video for you in the comments so that you can see it, because I know a lot of you are visual and we're audio only here. But take a listen. This was her very last appearance on our show, which was a few months before season 29 ended. And she told us straight out that they're not letting her do any more live shows. Take a listen.
Of Republican friends, and it will always be that way, even though I'm a big old lefty. So what happens when you do a show like The View is you do a pre-interview, and they just kind of want to know where you're going, what topics, what's allowed, what's not allowed. And especially with me, they won't even let me do the live shows anymore. So they do 2 shows on Thursdays, a live one and a taped one for Friday. And they won't let me co-host anymore, which is a bummer because I used to love to co-host.
So, and we all know why that is, because Kathy also had a huge thing with the president, and he's on her, she's on his naughty list. I mean, there are certain women this dude hates, okay? He seems to really have a disgust for them. Now, there are some women he may make fun of, but with these two, Rosie and Kathy, they seem to really get under his skin. And so he has a certain nasty vitriol for them. So I thought they could do the same with Rosie. If Rosie were to guest co-host on our show, they could pre-tape it. They could edit out anything that she says, anything that she does that could cause a problem. And that way, they get a huge bump in the ratings because Rosie is all on everybody's tongue right now. And then we, as the viewership who loved Rosie on the show, we also get the opportunity to see her again. Now, listen, I will say this. I don't think, and I've been, listening to just about every interview Rosie has been giving since she's been back in the U.S. this summer. Also, we talked about this on a Sunday chat, listening to her monologues. I'm very clear now. Rosie does not want to permanently be back on The View. Well, let me take that back. There's only one exception to that. That would make her want to come back full time. And we'll talk about that later. I want to just stick to one thing at a time on the episodes. It helps me out. But I will say, I'm clear that she's not interested in being there permanently. However, she is interested in coming back to guest co-host. You know, she and Whoopi are getting along. She's going to be in New York a lot, you know, coming in from Ireland a lot. And this would just be a great stop for her, not to mention she and Anna Navarro get along wonderfully. And so that would be like, you know, the perfect thing. And it would be good for the viewers to see in season 30, look at these two, you know, Whoopi and Rosie, who everybody thought had this, you know, they were arch enemies. And for a time they were. But now they're, you know, look at this, two women, two power alpha women coming together. So they could make a whole show of it. You know what I'm saying? So that is the solution. Just pre-tape Rosie. Brian, listen. As a viewer, I would love to see Rosie. Rosie's got all the things, okay? She's got all the things. And there would be nothing better than to have her at the table guest co-hosting sometime during season 30. It wouldn't even have to be the first week, okay? It could be the middle of the season. Heck, it could be the end of the season. But you know what, guys? Even as I hope this, a part of me thinks that The View is not going to bring on any controversial guests or someone who could potentially explode until this whole lawsuit with the FCC is finalized. And y'all, who knows when that could be? That could be the end of season 30. It could not even be. It could go into season 31 if we have a season 31. But at the end of the day, as far as Rosie O'Donnell is concerned, just pre-tape her show. And that would be just fine with us. I don't know about you guys, but yeah, I would love to see her live on the show. But I don't have to have that. What I have to have, though, is her sitting at the table, but I don't have to have it live. So what do you guys think about that? If they were to negotiate something with Rosie's agent where they were able to bring her on the show as a guest co-host, okay, do you think that a pre-taped interview or a pre-taped segment would be just fine, just to keep everyone safe? Now listen, Rosie has made this clear on just about every podcast she's been on. She got enough money, okay? So she is not hurting for money. And, you know, that also is what makes a person like Rosie dangerous. You know, some of these celebrities, they are not in that position. And so they have to be very careful of what they say because it could ruin the next gig for them. But Rosie's already said, I'm beyond rich. And so she even said on one podcast, if I never work another day in my life, me and my kids are going to be just fine. That's the person you got to worry about because they don't have anything to lose, you know? And so I don't know, but that's what I'm thinking, guys. Pre-tape it and get the ratings, get all of us excited, make it a thing between she and Whoopi, a reunion of sorts. And just it would just be a wonderful thing. Listen, that's my view on The View. What say you? Let us all know in the comments. Bye, guys.